Welcome to Talking Comfort Live, a show that reminds us just how cool HVAC can be by discussing today's hot topics in home comfort, from learning to laughing and sharing personal experiences to challenging the leading industry narratives. Our show goes deep inside the world of mini splits, heat pumps, and the inverter technology that brings efficient comfort to our products. And you can help us in our quest to make HVAC cool. We're looking for you to be a part of the show. If you have a question, whether it centers around application, installation, preventative maintenance, a future technology, or anything we share on the show, send it our way. We might take it live. Now grab a bucket and take a break. It's time for Talking Comfort Live.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Talking Comfort Live. I am James McIntyre, the commercial business leader here for GREE. We've got quite a bit of a large panel today. First, we're going to talk to Justin Salisbury. Go ahead and say hey.
Hello, Justin Salisbury, Senior Director of Product.
And we have Daniel.
Good afternoon, everybody.
And we've got Jesus.
Good afternoon, everybody. Jesus Frog again, inside commercial sales.
And we have JD.
Hey, good afternoon. Residential tech support and lead residential trainer.
Right. Did you say presidential trainer?
Residential.
That's what it sounded like to me. All right. We got a great show. Got an action-packed show for you today. I'd like to start out by saying, go ahead and hit the question mark icon to the right of the screen to submit your questions. It makes the show that much better. Again, question mark icon to the right of the screen. So for the agenda today, we're going to kick it off with the official heat pump of winter, and that is our MultiPRO R32. We're going to be talking about heating performance comparisons, showcasing our GREE CounterPro, and then we're going to answer a few of your comments from YouTube. We'll have links in the description so that you can jump straight to those segments if you need to go back and reference them if you're watching this after our live show. And again, we're going to be checking throughout the show for your questions and comments. That is the question mark icon to the right of the screen. So let's go ahead and start talking comfort. We are going to talk about the official heat pump of winter, the MultiPRO R32. Would anybody care to take a whack at why we would be calling it the official heat pump of winter?
Because it goes colder?
Yeah, because it goes colder than everyone else. That's right. The heating performance of it outperforms everything that we've been able to find so far. We've got a couple of points to hit on that. We have our resident AHRI ratings expert, and we'll ask him some questions on that. But yeah, first off, if you're going to go look at a heat pump that can work year-round and provide that cost savings for you year-round, you're going to want something that doesn't start derating at 47 degrees like most heat pumps do. In fact, most heat pumps will lose around a third of their capacity by the time it gets to 36 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius. I'm sorry for our international viewers. But around 36 degrees, you lose 25 to 33% of your capacity. So a heat pump that's designed for Georgia probably not going to work that well for you in Minnesota. But let's talk about some of those finer points. Justin, would you like to talk about the heating performance comparisons that you might see from AHRI data?
Yeah, so as you look at AHRI data, you're going to see a lot of it based on either 47 degrees or 5 degrees. 47 degrees is typically the temperature which most systems are going to be rated. But then you're going to see the 5 degrees for, say, cold climate. If you know anything about like Consortium for Energy Efficiency, NEEP, things like that, a lot of things are based off of 5 degrees for the cold climate. And generally, you're trying to get a higher heat ratio, a certain COP at that temperature. So, that's why it was kind of chosen for that. Now, as you start looking at these comparisons, especially if you're looking at different temperatures, maybe like 10 degrees versus 5 degrees, sometimes you can see some things that might not make a whole lot of sense to you. For example, sometimes you'll see, well, at 10 degrees, a certain heat pump has, let's say 30,000 BTUs. And at 5 degrees, it has 36,000 BTUs. Well, why does it have a higher capacity at 5 degrees versus 10 degrees? Well, it's because again, you're trying to hit numbers for those cold climate tests, and so companies can go in and change the software or do things to kind of skew the numbers to make it look better at 5 degrees, just to hit those numbers. But again, when you're doing AHRI testing, you're locking the compressor in to, with inverter equipment, you're locking the compressor into certain speed, certain algorithm and all that. So it's really not running like it would naturally in the in the environment. So it's kind of funny, some of the things that you'll see out there. So again, as you're looking at all of these comparisons out there, the AHRI data, that's the rated tested data. So it's great for getting an idea of what your COP, HSPF, SEER rating, and all that is. It's what you're going to need to have for your rebates, tax credits, etc. But if you're looking for sizing and kind of real world performance, you need to look at your factory extended ratings to see what the system will kind of actually put out in the real world.
Right. And, like as we're talking about the heating performance of it, if you go look at engineering manuals or extended capacity data or whatever the manufacturer might call that, you might want to know what kind of performance it's going to get at a cold temperature. I mean, even if you're talking dual fuel, if you've got a dual fuel system where you're needing to kick in the furnace at 36 degrees, like most heat pumps in a dual fuel application, you're not really getting the savings that you're wanting, right? You're not getting the savings that you might want to see out of that heat pump. You're basically taking and shorten the time frame where you might be able to utilize that heat pump effectively during the winter, right? Maybe you can use it in the fall for a month or the spring for a month. If you're in a what do you call the climate that's got the 4 seasons? I live in Texas. I don't really have that. What do you call that? Anyway, the climates that have 4 seasons that actually have a fall and a spring and all that, you can only really utilize that heat pump for savings during that time. So if like the price of natural gas goes up or propane's, remains expensive or something like that, you're wanting to give the customer a heat pump that's going to be able to give them the option to save either with electricity or heat with gas, right? And that's what we're talking about. And Jesus can attest to the difficulty it is in some cases to find the extended rating performance of various manufacturers. Do us a favor, don't name any manufacturers, but in your research, did you have trouble finding some of that information?
Oh yeah, and it wasn't the first time that I did a deep dive into looking for AHRI and submittal data. Not that it's not there, but it just takes a little bit longer versus like where you go to GREE Commercial, GREE Comfort. I mean, we don't try to hide anything. We have all the documents exactly where they need to be and for the end user, for the engineer, right? Because that's what they're going to be looking at. And so, yeah, it was, some of them, it was pretty difficult to find, but, a lot of them was able to go to AHRI itself and then just go through the brand and then be able to look at, what they have to offer. But yeah, that's kind of what my experience was doing that deep dive and looking for that data.
Yeah, and it's not that anybody's like going out of the way to hide the information. I don't think anybody's doing that. It's just not, maybe not something that people are looking at trying to find as
It's not
often.
talked about enough.
It's really not. You're right. It's not talked about enough. For almost all of our equipment, if you go to our website, you go click capacity tables or extended ratings, or I believe it's called extended ratings, right? Yeah, very clearly, and it's not just heating either. If you live in a very hot climate, let's say Arizona or something, a lot of the equipment that you might be specifying, you may not know this, but they rate it at 95 degrees. Well, what kind of derate are you going to have above 95? Right? And even in places where maybe it's not 95 degrees, but you got like from the commercial side, you got a unit sitting on the roof. Is it 95 up there? Is it 105 up there? Is it 115 up there? Right? If that unit's not elevated above the roof, like it's taking in that heat, regardless of air temperature, surface temperature. It's still pulling in that heat. You know what I mean? It's still pulling that in, and that's going to derate your cooling as well. So that's absolutely something to pay attention to. I mean, you're talking about whether or not the heating and cooling equipment that you sell meets the needs of the customer when they need it the most. So absolutely something to take a look at.
James, I don't think we can really talk about the official heat pump of winter without talking at least a little bit about the technology behind it. Like, how does it do that? How does it achieve that? Greg did a great video for us on cold climate heating, kind of explaining what the compressor does and all that. But, not just looking at extended ratings, but understanding how is it capable of working in Massachusetts or, Canada, for, Montreal.
Right.
Quebec City. So, the GREE compressor is actually designed, that technology is designed to do cold climate heating using EEVs. It's injecting the hot gas back into the compressor to keep that pressure up. So, it's a lot of other manufacturers might be obtaining that through just ramping up the compressor, which, comes along with some names that kind of hint towards less compressor life.
Yeah. Right.
So,
yeah, or oversizing the units. I mean, I will say that there's still it's increasingly becoming a misconception that heat pump manufacturers just oversizing their heat pumps at one time. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. We saw that out of some of the mini split products, for example, taking what they called an 18,000 BTU unit was actually producing like 30,000 BTUs. Yeah, it's like an enormous coil, enormous compressor, and all that to get those heating performance capacities. I'll just share a story real quick. I had the benefit or the opportunity to watch a presentation from a major competitor of ours, and they started getting questions on how their ultra heating performance worked. And the presenter was not prepared to answer that in any way. He's like, "How does it work?" I don't know. It just does.
It's magic, right?
Yeah. I mean, I had questions wait, I can tell you exactly how that works, but we come at a lot of this from a technical standpoint because given our backgrounds and what we do and all that, I wasn't selling typewriters yesterday. I was doing heating and air conditioning, and yeah, we've got a great video that shows exactly how it works. A lot of your customers might want to know that too. We regularly have the opportunity to explain that it's not just related to the heat that you could absorb outside, because I grew up hearing like, hey, below certain temperature, X temperature, wherever you lived apparently was a different temperature because I've heard a range. It was 38 for us. It was 38. That's what everybody went with it. Below 38, there's just not enough heat. You might as well just kick on the electric heat. Just kick on your electric heat. You got electric furnace now. So anytime it was below 38, let's just get that COP of 1. Right.
You walk out by the meter and watch it go spin.
Yeah, right. It seemed like they could hook a fan up, to that or whatever. But you're showing your age when we do this, that, right? For power meters. Was that temperature 38 for you?
I think it was 38. It's been a while.
How about you, Justin? Was it different up there?
It was generally the rule of thumb, 38 degrees, yeah.
Yeah, which wasn't a bad rule of thumb really, because for the longest time your heat pumps just wouldn't do it,
Yep.
In my time, I've gone from having to convince people that their heat pump would work in Kentucky or Tennessee or something to having to convince people that, hey, you know what, minus 30 is pretty cold. We're derating pretty significantly at minus 30 at that point, having to tell them like, hey, maybe you ought to switch over to gas or something at that point. But yeah, but from a performance standpoint, we've been yet to able to find something that's going to outperform this unit that doesn't burn gas. All right. Let's see.
Well,
Anything? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, James, I wanted to add a couple. This brings back all the memories from whenever I was in the psychrometric chambers doing all the testing for a certain manufacturer. I was shocked to the way that the standards are actually, handled in-house. And it's like, oh, we're trying to hit X amount. And it's like, oh, wait, hold on. X amount isn't what's on the plaque. So that's where this all ties back into look. You need to be looking at your extended ratings and looking at your performance data because you don't want to purchase anything that's not going to perform for your customer in the dead of winter and I mean by golly at the dead of summer, so it's a game if you're willing to play it, good luck because it's not a pretty one.
Right. And that's something, I mean, I know we're talking about multi-pro specifically at the moment, but I mean, heating is something that we do very well across the board, not only with multi-pro, but with our Flex, with our, Vireo and Sapphire products. We do a lot of ultra heating, right? Is there any other products that I need to add to that ultra heat product family?
Even the Levo is down to -13. It's not like, it's we're geared towards heating.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely something that we're trying to do. But hey, just as a reminder, question mark icon to the right of the screen. I'd like to hear some of your thoughts on using heat pumps during the winter season. Are you for it, against it? Let us know. Or if you have any other questions or comments that have come up in your head in our chat here. Anything else that you guys like to add before?
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to add. I know a lot of people that they get a little bit nervous when they hear about heat pump heating and its, ability to actually, produce the capacity needed. It's like, you know, like Daniel said, maybe not the Levo as far as like -13. Okay, maybe that's not your option, but GREE always has an option, and obviously for cold climate heating, definitely turn towards multi-pro, and that'll take care of all your needs during the dead of winter.
Right. Right. And one more is like just hearing the 100% at a certain temperature or something. Go look at their data. Go look at their data because I mean what they're saying 100% is may not be the 100% that you need.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a
If you can
3-ton unit.
find it.
100% is 3 tons. No, that's not how that works. That's not how that works at all. But let's see. As far as questions are concerned, let's see. The question that we got is related to our R32 MultiPro literature. We currently have submittals listed on there. The service manuals, owner's manuals, all of that is being worked on right now. We do have MultiPro R32 in the U.S. now, as of last week.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're right now we're like 1 week behind maybe on some of the literature, but yeah, that's getting uploaded. A little bit of that's being uploaded every day, just about. So you'll see more and more of that as we move along. But I've got no other questions at the moment, so let's go to the next segment. Unless you guys have something else to add to that. No, good to go. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So we are going to talk about our CounterPro, and I believe we have a video to play to introduce you to CounterPro if you're not already familiar.
Speed up your counter with GREE CounterPro, your all-in-one hub for parts info, product documentation, warranties, and more. Built specifically for counter staff, it helps you serve contractors faster with zero guesswork. No more digging through folders or closing the wrong tab. At GreeComfort.com/CounterPro, every GREE resource is right at your fingertips. Set it as your home page and serve your contractors faster than ever with GREE CounterPro.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that. The CounterPro is absolutely designed to support a GREE distributor's needs. I mean, let's go around the room and talk about what we like about CounterPro. Just somebody volunteer first.
Sure. So
I'm looking right at you anyway. So.
Oh, you are? I didn't realize that. It's kind of, just
Yeah,
a line at the top there where I see everybody. But
Gotcha.
CounterPro, I have to give it to James. This was kind of one of his brainchilds that came up, and we started talking about it, and just we have an intense website with a lot of information. And just to condense it a little bit to just the touch points that a counter guy needs makes it so much easier for them. And we've spent years talking about contractor is king, and I still believe that. The contractors are still king, but those guys behind the counter trying to help that contractor continue being king with GREE is extremely important. So having these touch points, having everything at your fingertips without having to scroll and scroll and scroll and look. It's easy for me because, I've been on that website for years. I hover on system documentation all day long if I'm in the office. So just having that right at your fingertips is huge. So.
Right. No, I think that's a great point. Yeah, I mean, we say contractor is king, and one of the things that we found out about having the show is that we got a lot of people out there watching it or watching clips or seeing it like on TikTok or Instagram or something like that, and then they walk in and they go, "Hey, what about this?
Yeah.
What can you tell me about this?" We're like, "Well, maybe the guy at the counter hasn't seen that, hasn't seen that episode or that clip or something," and then they got a bunch of questions. Well, this gets them to that information a lot quicker. They can go, "Oh yeah, here it is," or like, "Hey, can you quote me on this?" I don't even know what that is, but let me take a look at CounterPro real quick, and I'll be able to identify the model, that kind of thing. Well, my personal favorite is honestly going to be the GREE part search. I think it's been very very helpful, being able to look up the parts or look up a model, grab the parts, pictures of the parts too. A lot of guys, you want to bring it in, set it on the counter, and go, "I need one of these." Well, sometimes the maybe the description isn't, exactly what you expect it might be or something. I mean, like Daniel said, you and I, we do this every single day. We look at this stuff all the time. So we know a connection board might be a panel, or a terminal board is a terminal block, or, something like that. But a picture, there's no interpretation there. You know what that is when you look at it. Hopefully you have an idea, what about Jesus? What do you like about CounterPro, buddy?
Well, it is a couple different things I like about it. And Daniel's right, it offers a lot to the contractors as far as, compatibility for our multi-zone mini splits. GREE part search is another big one. So, I mean, technical documents, just, whatever you're looking for, right at your fingertips. I think really like using it. I use it, pretty much daily, when people call me up and are looking for a part or certain compatibility questions they're looking for. So, well, you know what? I go straight to the website there and then punch it in and say, yeah, it looks like it's going to work. So, yep.
Right. How about JD?
Kind of like Daniel said too, like everything's just in one area for like, even the distributor. The distributor doesn't necessarily only sell one brand, so they're not dealing with our website all day long. So it just really helps them to, have everything condensed in one area and makes their life a lot easier.
Right. And getting that information out to them is key. Anytime we have to have like a quick reference guide or something like that, I mean, that's where a lot of those things came from is, constantly referring to an internal document that we made or whatever. It's like, hey, instead of it being an internal document, why don't we put it on the website? So it's not internal anymore.
Right.
And I know that helps out Mr. Sillsbury. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. I like the fact that it consolidates the key tools from the website just all on one page. It's very convenient. So, like Daniel said, they're not going through the entire website, clicking around, trying to find something.
Right.
And if you're looking for documentation or whatever, it tells you exactly where to go so they can find any documentation that they need. You brought up the parts lookup, which I really like. I think we did a really good job of bringing in a lot of the R32 parts early and getting the pictures taken and uploading those pictures. So I think moving forward with the new products on R32, you're going to see more of the pictures available as you're going and looking at the pictures to make sure that you're, looking at the right part or getting the right part. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's really great. It's a powerful tool.
Right. And it also gives a place for internally, if somebody says, hey, can I use a Levo on this multi-zone? Like here's a website you can go to for those kinds of questions.
Exactly.
Enabling folks to be able to, to be able to find the answers when they need the answer. We're not open all the time. We're not open 24 hours a day. Somebody wants a quote and you're like, oh crap, I forgot to get a quote. Like what model should I use? And you search up the CounterPro on at midnight. You're able to find the information. Go get them
Yeah.
that and say, oh, hey, I told you by the end of the day it's 11:59. Here you go.
Well, I mean, we just can't, we can't remember all this, in our head, can't keep it all in our heads. I wish you could, but like, that's where I say we also use it, so it's definitely a
Yeah.
great tool.
And that's the thing. I mean, we get to, we get to go GREE all day, every day, day in and day out. And we have a hard time remembering it all. Can't imagine if I also had to remember, what's on that shelf over there and, all that. That can be a lot. All right, let's take a look. Do we have any questions that have come in? Okay.
Well, James, while we're waiting,
Yeah,
I
go
think
ahead.
it's still a great thing to remind, the audience, R32 MultiPro, it's ready to go. So, just whenever you guys are ready.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, when Daniel was talking about how intense, it might be, or like, we've got an enormous amount of information on there I mean, for every product we've ever had. Also, I mean, we got the archive. You go way back if you're trying to find something, you go way back on that, and there's it's like a short, you add this as a shortcut, like on your home page. You can make it your home page, or as a shortcut in your browser. You can go quickly. You can find the information quick. You don't have to go through a bunch of tabs. Um, but one of the questions that we do have is in reference to the CounterPro, and that is that web address is greecomfort.com/CounterPro, and you'll access that. That's CounterPro there. And one of the questions that we had came in was actually for the I'm sorry, for the web app. What was the name of that again?
Oh, contract GREE Pros. Yeah.
Yeah, greepros.com. Yeah. It threw me off a little bit because the question did not have GreePros in there, so it threw me off. But yeah, that's perfect for your smartphone. Go to greepros.com and it takes you to a really easy to use version of our website, effectively like an app. Takes you it's a very quick and easy to use method for accessing information via your smartphone. All right, that's it for questions right now. So as a reminder, in case you forgot, is the question mark icon to the right of your screen. Go ahead and submit questions or comments. Okay, all right, let's go to questions and comments from our YouTube channel at GREE Comfort. All right. So this one, our first one is for the video titled Flex Installation, Understanding Eco Mode and Airflow Settings. Users asks, can you provide a chart of the three modes, standard, forced, and energy saving mode, so we can see what the three settings actually influence, or how the three settings actually influence the ramping and power settings. And I suppose probably when you might want to use those different settings. We have something we can show on the screen. All right. So yes, as default, unless somebody else wants to go through this, I can do it. As the default, it is going to be your standard mode. Your default mode will be standard, so there's no changes needed there. You're going to have a normal compressor ramp up rate, and this is for balanced comfort and efficiency. That's what we like to see, right? Comfort and efficiency. If you don't have comfort, then you might not care about efficiency. Never will you have efficiency and not care about comfort. You wouldn't have an air conditioner, right? But this is great for mixed climates with normal setbacks. Like if you've got a regular setback temperature you're wanting to look at, like it's, I don't know, you're setting at 74, 75 degrees or something like that when you leave. I mean, we like to go set it and forget it, but if you have a regular setback, that's perfect for that operation. Or if you're using a setback that's that's already pre-programmed into your thermostat, your smart thermostat. So next, we're going to talk about eco mode. Excuse me. You're going to have a slower compressor ramp up. So you're going to have a longer ramp up time. and which means that you'll have smoother power draw, you'll have higher efficiency, but you'll also have often more dehumidification due to having that longer run time. And it's great for milder climates all year round. It's also great for uh, like half-ton sizing, or applications in which you might not need that total capacity, like ever, right? If you did your heat load calculation, like everybody does all the time, right? If you do your heat load calculation to determine that you might need 32,000 BTUs, well, you might be able to use eco mode, and you meet your set point during its ramp up time. So it never has to hit like 36,000 BTUs to provide, the cooling needs or heating needs for that space. So that's a good option to use. Would you guys agree with that, using eco mode for fractional
Yes.
images?
Oh
Yep,
yeah,
that's-
it's actually listed on the Flex Quick Start Guide. It describes, how to use it for those half ton increments.
Right, right. I mean, as like for, let's say, like we say, well, we might find an application where we need, 52,000, 53,000 or something like that. Do you need to use a 5-ton at that point? Yes. Yes, you do. But do you need it to produce 60,000 BTUs?
No,
Maybe not. Like, so maybe you can go ahead and shift that over into eco mode and save that customer, a little bit of money. And the thing is, when you're selling a high efficiency unit, that's what you're selling, right? You're selling that it's going to save them money on their power bill, that kind of thing, right? So, you want to maximize those savings. Finally, we have the strong power forced mode. That's going to be the fastest compressor ramp up time that you're going to see out of this unit. So, it's going to ramp up faster than than it would typically. And it's great for extremely cold or hot climates. I'd like to add to that, if you have a customer that insists on having like extreme setbacks, like turning the unit off and then wanting it to heat up or cool down within 30 minutes or something like that, right? This would be, this will be your option. This is as fast as it can possibly ramp up and meet set point, right? Any
like
other
a meeting
applications
space, or
What was that?
something like a meeting space, like a
Yeah,
meeting hall or something that you just leave it off, and then you bring 50 people in. You might want it set to strong mode.
right. Yeah, you show up 10 minutes before the meeting and you turn the air conditioner on. Like, well, you might want it to ramp up as fast as possible. Any other applications that we can think of? I know this has come up a couple times via our tech support line.
Trying to think, just
I
like
thought
places
James
like
was asleep for a minute.
like that, like definitely like reception halls, things like that you just use on the weekends or something like that.
I mean, I can think of one example that came through tech support, and it was, I believe it was like a boutique, something that probably opens around 10 o'clock in the morning, Main Street boutique type, application.
Yeah.
And absolutely, just turning it off, in the middle of, for all night long. And they would, come in right before it opened, of course. And now that's, approaching the heat of the day, right? And wanted it to ramp up as quickly as possible. So that's the option we use, and that seemed to satisfy the customer. So,
Well, not only the climate, that we got to think about is also the occupants,
yeah,
people that are older in age, they probably don't need it to be cold really fast or hot really fast, so they go with the eco mode and just set it to, set the dip switch configuration to eco mode, and they won't even notice the difference. So,
right. And as far as that ramp up curve, that's going to vary based on those temperatures, both outdoor and indoor. So regardless of what profile you use, it basically just takes what it normally would do and shifts it up or shifts it down, and
Yep.
that's pretty much all we're doing there.
I just want to clarify before, we wrap up and move on. None of these dip switches are going to fix any ductwork issues or airflow problems.
Yeah, or sizing issues or
Yeah, that's
right. Which I believe is a little bit of a red flag that we use in tech support, right? If somebody says, "Hey, how do I set up strong mode?"
you
It's like,
start
okay,
asking more questions.
yeah, let's talk about
Oh,
like
yeah.
why you want to set up strong mode. Let's let's go from there. Okay. Let's see. We'll take a real quick break. Looks like we had quite a few questions came in. So let me get back to the page. I clicked the wrong button. All right. Okay, well, like for, let's say if we had an R410A unit replacement, what are our options for replacing with R32 at the moment? Let's see. I guess that's a good question. So if we were replacing, let's say, an indoor unit or an outdoor unit, like what would our options be as far as combinations of equipment? If we have a replacement unit, of course, we just replace it with a 410A unit, right? But for R32, we're typically looking at inside and out, right? Because
Yes.
yeah, we can't have the mismatch, right? I mean,
Nope.
yeah, right. So with the equipment, like you've got an R32 indoor unit is going to have the your leak detection sensor, right?
You have to have it. Yep.
Got to have it, right? Legally has to have it. So, and if you've got communicating equipment, if we're talking about mini splits, for example, that outdoor unit's going to be looking for the same thing, right? It's going to be looking for that signal from
Yep.
that leak detection sensor, correct?
Yep.
Right.
Got it.
So it'd be just like unplugging a sensor. If you do try to cross up those equipment for R32 or 14A, be just the same thing as like you disconnecting the discharge pipe. It's automatic.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So it brings on the indoor blower motor, shuts off compressor operation, correct?
Instantly. Yep.
Yep. All right. Now, we did see through testing that you can still see the outdoor fan motor running sometimes, right?
Yes. Compressor drops out right away. Sometimes that condenser fan continues to run. Yep.
Okay. So the outdoor
Or
fan motor is not an indication of the operation of the compressor. I mean, I know
correct.
that
We checked
Yeah.
the amp draw, and the amp draw from the compressor went away instantly as soon as that alarm went off.
Gotcha. They are quiet. I mean, I think that's something, everybody recognizes that if you walk up on an inverter driven system and it's kind of loud and something's going on, right?
Exactly. Yep.
But we've talked about that from a service standpoint too. The outdoor fan motor is not it's not being drawn from a contactor where the contactor pulls in and the compressor and fan motor come on at the same time. Like from a service aspect, from a safety aspect, that fan motor, if the board's hot or whatever it might be, that fan motor can come on. So like, keep your hands out of it if the you would think that we wouldn't have to say that often, but I got to tell myself that. Keep my hands out of it if there's power on it, right?
Exactly.
Whether I got a call
That
or
goes
not.
through my brain every time.
Yeah.
It's constant. Like I got the panel off, keep my hands out of there.
Right. Nobody wants a tickle, like a surprise tickle from 310 volts,
No.
or having their hand banged up with some fan motor blades. You ever do that, Justin? You ever catch an outdoor fan blade?
Not a fan blade, but accidentally touched the contactor before. So.
There you go. I mean, that's a little button on there. You're supposed to use a tool, right? You're not supposed to use your finger, right? Um. So yeah, let's see here. All right, I think that answers that question. Let's see, will the CounterPro system builder do all systems, including MultiPro? Yes. So I'll ask the question again a little more clearly. Will the CounterPro system builder do all systems, including MultiPro? Yes, that is correct. It will.
Are the R32 multi-pros uploaded to the system builder yet,
Not
James?
in yet.
Okay. Because I know that's the next question.
Absolutely. So go ahead and answer the next question. It's not in there yet, but it will be very, very soon. Okay, got another question. It says anything special about these controls? I'm not sure what that's in relation to, but if you would, if you could just follow up with a little bit more information as far as which controls that we're talking about. I'm going to say yes, everything about our controls is special, but I don't know what we're asking
Okay.
specifically. It may have been something that we were talking about earlier, and unfortunately the timing just wasn't there for us. But yeah, if you would go ahead and just provide a clarifying statement there, we'll answer your question. Let's see here. And is that the same as far as replacing that? As if you had a flex system, do you need to replace if you've got an R410A flex indoor unit and you use an R410A flex indoor unit on an R32 condenser? No.
No, absolutely
And,
not.
and honestly, it's not even a question about compatibility, is it?
No, not at all.
We're talking about law at that point, right?
Yep.
And if I had to volunteer someone to be our legal representative, No, I'm not going to do that. All right, but it absolutely is. It's related to regulation. I mean, we can't have a mismatch system like that. You know, we've got the sensor. I mean, that's your real reason. That's your tangible reason. Got to have the sensor, and then but then there's also, you know, regulatory and legal.
And safety for that matter. That's the whole
Yeah, and
point in all
safety.
of it.
Yeah, it is. It is. You're right. All right, let's move on to the next YouTube comment. We have Level Up with MultiPro Commercial Part 1 Products and Installation. We have G'day, GREE Comfort. I would like to know more about the ceiling concealed FP136-WAF-R switchover installation, where an entry point can be switched from left hand to right hand. All right. So, generally speaking, we try to cover the equipment that would be sold in the United States and Canada, but I did take a look at that model number and its user manual on the on our global website. And it is a ducted unit for those who would like to know. It's a ducted unit where you can switch which side, you know, your power and piping and stuff like that is going to come in. And according to the installation instructions, I don't have familiarity with it myself, but according to the installation instructions, it is simply unplugging some wires, moving the control box to the other side, and plugging those wires back up.
Oh,
It's
nice.
yeah, not a whole lot to that. And we have discussed with the factories for some of the ducted units on the commercial side, maybe having that option. But right now we've got right hand and left hand options for the ducted units. Did anybody else look up anything about that unit?
No.
Okay, all right, I gotcha. Well, I immediately recognized that it was not something we carried.
Yeah.
But we know we tried our best. So, you know, if you are asking questions about GREE from other markets, please feel free to ask them. I mean, we like to know about what they got too. Sometimes in other markets, they might have features that we'd like to have here as well. So, next is one of my favorite videos. It's the mini split water leaks. Well, that's not one of my favorite videos. It's in reference to the cleaning of it. It's my favorite one. But the mini split water leaks, causes and fixes from the field. All right. Let's see. The user asked, our whole home runs on 4 interior wall units, which need condensate pumps and drain lines. Clearing clogged pump lines isn't easy, especially when blockages harden. I can't stop leaks from the pump's drain pan. We know what drain pan they're talking about, even when it's only half full. Can you guys make a video on interior wall mounted units? I think that's a great suggestion. There's a lot that goes into an interior mounted wall unit, you know?
But before we make the video, my recommendation to that particular question is call your local licensed contractor.
Absolutely. Okay. So we're also talking about, chances are, it sounds like we're talking about the small condensate pumps, right?
Yeah, like an Aspen or pumps. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's not a giant little drain pan, you know, just a
little old bitty thing.
Yeah. Right. Real small. I'm not sure like why that would be leaking out of the pump itself, you know, or the little drain pan of the pump. But yes, I understand from a clog standpoint, absolutely. But they do have aftermarket products for like pan tabs. But they've got some aftermarket products specifically made for the compact pans that wall mounts have. There are some options for that. Regular
that may actually help keep that clear, keep that little condensate pump clear.
Absolutely. We've seen a lot of installations like that. And just for the contractors out there, when you do send us pictures, you can step back and take pictures of it. You don't have to talk about it. Doesn't have to just be pictures of the thing that you're talking about. We like to see that. We've had pictures come through that talk about water dripping off the coil, whatever, and it's like, okay, well, hey, can you back up real quick and take a picture of what it looks like? And we've seen white units that are nicotine colored, and maybe that's where some of that that maintenance comes in, or oils, that kind of thing. Maybe some it calls for a real mild degreaser in some cases, you know.
Cooking
But never
oils and
ever,
things like that. Yeah.
yeah, don't use rinseless coil cleaner on these. Wouldn't recommend that. Wouldn't use acidic or caustic coil cleaners as well, right? Wouldn't use that. One time got a call years ago about that about the blue coil. You know, yeah, that coil's clean. It's shiny, silver. I'm like, it's what?
It's
Silver.
it's silver.
Not
Yeah, I
supposed to
cleaned
be
it really
silver.
good.
Yeah, cleaned
Probably
it
use some
really
acid
good.
on there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Some
absolutely.
acidic, burn that stuff right off.
Yeah, not completely unrelated to our equipment. If you are working on something in a data room, don't use rinseless coil cleaner. It relies on sensible heat and water, on the coil to rinse itself. It's only rinseless if you have water, right? So anyway, all right. Um, Anything you'd like to add on the pumps and the leaks on the interior walls and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think we can make a video, just showing exactly how easy it is to remove that panel. That way, because usually that little pump, it'll sit either underneath or inside the wall cavity. And I think on our wall mounted units, I think it's real simple. You have what, one, two, three, four, five tabs and four screws in front, and just peel it right off. So
Right.
yeah, we can do that.
I mean, a personal recommendation I'd make is the undermount mini pumps. I do like those. You can access those really easily.
Yeah, those are nice.
If you start seeing some gunk and stuff like that built up in that little thing, you might have gunk in the line and everything else too. From an installation standpoint, always follow the directions that the manufacturer of the pump provides. Many of those have they have a check valve that you're supposed to install. Many applications don't end up with that check valve installed. And unfortunately, it draws the water out of it and then makes a bunch of racket when it runs. And it sounds like a fish tank aerator. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but it's something that wakes you up in the middle of the night. Last but not least, let me add this one too. If you have the opportunity to not put your union or your flare connection inside the wall, do it underneath the unit. You can do it behind the cabinet, and then just have your piping route into the wall from there. In my own installation, I didn't do that, and it hasn't been an issue. But when Greg did his own house or had it done, he said, "Hey, this is a good idea. We should do this from now on," and he was right. So I felt like kind of an idiot. Eventually, if I ever want to swap them out, it's gonna be some sheetrock work, Okay, let's go to the next YouTube comment. We have troubleshooting EEVs. So the GREE EEV troubleshooting video. We have a person that says, got a beautiful picture of Daniel here on this video. Thanks, Daniel, for that video. We have, if the EEV is outside, how do I measure subcooling? My superheat is near zero. EVAP flood, or flooded evaporator for superheats down near zero. Got a unit GUTD60W1NHBSS is underperforming with poor humidity control and low compressor speed. It's rated at 28 amps at T3, but always pulls 22 to 23 amps. Pulled a deep vacuum and charged to weight, but issue still remains. Okay, so I'm going to go and say that the GUTD60W is probably not a unit. I mean, it's not a model number that we have.
Not one that I recognize.
It sounds like it's going to be either a U-match or a flex-like system.
Yep.
So let's talk about it. If we've got a flooded evaporator coil and high amp draw, what could be causing the high amp draw if we have a flooded coil?
Overcharge, maybe.
Overcharge for sure.
Yeah. Could it
Either
also be
that, or I mean, other items like floor wheel dirty, evaporator coil dirty, filter dirty. Just
so poor airflow?
Yeah.
Low
poor
airflow,
airflow.
yeah. High static.
I gotcha. So, well, like if we did pull a deep vacuum and we did charge to weight, did follow that calculation, then, chances are we are looking at a poor airflow situation.
Yep.
So I'd go take a look and inspect that. Who knows what you might find, right? We've seen pictures of collapsed ductwork, whole sections of ductboard just hanging out in the return, just all kinds of things,
Yeah, I was about to say, you might find something worth taking a picture of.
Yeah, right. And who knows, maybe your picture will be featured in an episode, and we never mention names. But if you find like a poor installation or something like that, hey, feel free to send it to us. I mean, I think that's wonderful. You know, we can share the highs and lows of HVAC. We share in those too. Anybody else? So we're looking at poor airflow probably. If it's not a charge issue, is there anything else that we
I
might
would
think
go
of?
straight for airflow. Get out the manometers, check static.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Honestly, off the top of my head at this point, you know, I mean, we always want to look at a component failure or something like that, but the thing is, it's heating and air. It's heating and air. It's heating and air, right? So we got to have airflow. Got to have it. All right,
Well,
next.
James, let's talk about what his first question was about the subcooling. He said, "How do I
Oh
measure
yeah, how do I measure
subcooling?"
subcooling?
Yeah, superheat is near zero. EVAC
Yeah.
flood. So
So if we're talking about a unit that has its expansion device in the outdoor unit and it's not a subcooling EV or you know, a secondary EV or something like that, like you might find some in some of our systems, if the metering device itself, like you know, the liquid line is cold, like actually cold, and the metering device is located in the outdoor unit, you cannot check subcooling, right? You don't have an access point on the high side in order to check subcooling. Um, so you can't. But if you have like a flex where you actually do have a liquid line, you can check subcooling like you would normally.
But it might be a little off just because they're not at 100%. You know, that compressor's not ramped up to 100, but so
Right,
it'll
right.
be,
Yeah. So we're not
yeah,
looking at like, oh, when I need 8 degrees subcooling when it's 105 degrees outside or whatever. We're
right.
not really looking at that. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So, I mean, it can tell you what the subcooling is, but what would you do with it in that case? Because, I mean, with inverter driven systems, I don't care what brand you use. I highly recommend that you weigh it in according to the refrigerant charge, you know, amount.
Yep.
All right.
and if
Next
you're
one.
if you're feeling it, if you think we're lying, turn the unit off, wait for about 5 minutes, turn it back on, and what are you gonna hear? Click, 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 click.
Yep.
Right? The EV's resetting. So
Right. Okay. Let's take a look at the next YouTube comment. It's hot upstairs, cool downstairs. Here's the real HVAC fix. All right, let's see here. It says if you zone a home and do a true heat load, you can absolutely make the upstairs within 0.5 degrees, and we do it all the time in Arizona when it's 120 outside. Okay. Yeah, so if you zone the home and you do a heat load calculation, you can keep it within 0.5 degrees. Yes. Yeah, we agree. Absolutely agree.
100%.
If you have zoned it. Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
well, James, that brings up one of the biggest elephants in the room. Look what he's saying. Arizona. What are we talking about there? Dry. You know, it may work in that application, but that doesn't mean it works across the country. So you just got to be careful on exactly, what you're saying there.
oh yeah, I see what you're saying. So basically you know, I mean, you're taking away the latent heat removal that you have to have. So now
Exactly.
you've got
Yep.
significantly more sensible available. But even then, I mean, if you're zoning properly, if you've got the zone dampers set up like you need to, so on and so forth, yeah, it would be like a lot like having two separate systems for that home. Or it would be a lot like a multi-pro where the upstairs and downstairs unit. But I will say though, however, what it's not like is multi-zone or a multi-pro is that if you've got a 510 outdoor unit and you're only needing cooling upstairs, you have a 510 outdoor unit cooling. You got a
Right.
510 outdoor
Exactly.
unit running. You got
And
five tons. You
that's
got 5 ton amp
exactly what
draw.
I have right now at my house.
Yeah, you've got 5 ton amp draw. You've got 5 ton energy usage. Is what you got. Now it may have a short run time because it's only having to distribute that cooling to one zone, but it's still not as efficient as it could be. So yeah, if it is, and like you said, as far as an elephant in the room too, is if you do a true heat load as that, as the user said. Absolutely. If you do a heat load calculation and you size the system accordingly and you zone it accordingly, it should work. But it's a lot of ifs. And what we continue to see is those ifs aren't being met like they need to be met. I mean, really, right? All right. Anything else to add on that? All right. I take that as a no. Appreciate that. All right. So do have a question about warranty parts. Can you get warranty parts directly from us, or do we need to go through a local distributor? You need to go through a local distributor.
Yes.
Absolutely. The equipment's not purchased directly from us, and the warranty parts wouldn't come directly from us either. If you have any issues trying to get the parts or something like that, of course, we have a very, very wide range of distributors across the country, and you can use our distributor locator on our website if you feel like you're not getting them fast enough or whatever it might be. But you can use the distributor locator to locate another distributor and give them the opportunity to serve you. All right. Well, as we discuss some things here, question mark icon to the right of the screen gives you the opportunity to ask us questions or make comments and have us react to them live. Sometimes it's very it provides for us really great things that we didn't really think about putting in the show until you ask that question. And other times it provides opportunity for comedy, which is also important. It allows us to have a good time. All right. Well, I think we got everybody on the CounterPro, right? I think that's something you should absolutely check out. And even if you are a contractor, go ahead and check out CounterPro. It might get you some of the answers that you're looking for on a regular basis. And the fact is, it takes some of the stress off the poor guy behind the counter. If you like selling GREE, you like selling GREE all the time, you watch us constantly and all that, you might be more familiar with it than he is. So this provides you the tools that you need to sell more GREE, which I'm all about. Sell more of it. All right. All right. We do have a comment question. Let's see here. I'm excited for the GREE air handler. Any updates on the GREE air handler? And I would suppose that they're not talking about the Flex or MultiPRO air handlers that we already have.
That's for the multi.
It's for the multi. Okay. Justin, could you give us some details on that?
Yeah, so just based on the last presentation I gave on product updates, was a couple months ago. The timeline we were given from GREE for those to be ready for production was supposed to be the end of October. They have not provided any new timelines, so that's what we're sticking to. So we'll actually be in China in October. So if there's any delays or updates or anything like that, I'll get it directly from the source. But as of right now, end of October is the target, and those are going to be available in 18, 24, 30, and 36K sizes. So just sit tight and keep on the lookout for that.
Great. Okay. And is that only for the multi-zone outdoor unit?
Those can also be paired in a 1-to-1 configuration as well with the respective 1-to-1 mini split. So it's going to be in addition to our all match lineup.
Gotcha. Understand. Well, that should be exciting. That gives us even more options, right? That's great. All right. Looks like that's maybe it for the questions at the moment. Oh, okay. No, we did have a follow-up to the anything special about these controls, and it says installation on the controls. Well, I'm going to go with for our wired controllers. What's special about it is the wired controllers, almost all of them will be using either a plug or two-wire communication, depending on what product family we're talking about. Or we may be talking about the Flex controller, our RS485 Flex controller as far as installation is concerned.
And that's a 2-wire too.
That's a 2-wire as well. All right. Is there any 24 volts that needs to be going to that thermostat or that controller?
Yes. It does require a hot and a common, and it can also be used as a 24-volt thermostat without using the H1, H2. So,
Wow. Okay. So with the Flex, I can be a fully communicating system using our H1, H2 or RS485. I can be a 24-volt system that strictly uses 24 volts between indoor and outdoor and a third-party thermostat.
mhm.
I can be a 24-volt system between indoor and outdoor and use the GREE wired controller as a 24-volt thermostat.
Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, I can go with a communicating indoor and outdoor unit that use a third-party thermostat with 24 volts.
Yes.
Okay. Can we give them more options? We need more options, Justin. Is there more options that we can provide?
So I guess we can say it's flexible, right?
Look at you.
Yeah, there's a lot of options there for the users.
Good one,
So
Jesus.
that's pretty exciting.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe I can put in a Bluetooth radio or something in there, and you can control it from your
You know
Bluetooth.
what? The sales side of me says absolutely. The tech side of me says, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I can't get it to pair. Like, oh, geez. Yeah. As soon as you throw another layer of technology in there, it does make it really hard to explain, right?
Yep.
As soon as I'm like, hey, you need to enable your Wi-Fi 2G, your 2 gigahertz radio on your
Yeah,
Wi-Fi router. Like, oh, geez.
Is it 2 gigs or 4 gigs? Which radio do I use?
Yeah, like just call me back and tell me like what tightness should I make this flare? Like what like something that I can answer, like, something a little more, knuckle busting. That's what we're looking for there. Of course it's flexible. You're gonna go ahead and make that a clip, right? We're gonna put that on all social medias. So get ready for the autographs, Jesus. Got another question. Let's see. We have. Oh, okay. I got two questions. Both are related to MultiPro, making me proud, folks. Will the MultiPro have a 2-ton outdoor unit? Yes, the MultiPro will have a 2-ton and a 2.5-ton outdoor unit. That product is not yet finished on development, but it did seem to be a pretty popular option. A lot of folks were using those in commercial applications as mini splits, as a 1-to-1, which the reason why they would do that is the long piping lengths. I mean, very, very long piping lengths. Like we're talking over 300 feet long piping lengths, which is still insane to me. And it really needs to get me into selling line sets, by the way. I need to come up with how to sell that copper on that. But yeah, they will be. They 2 and 2.5 ton. We will likely be we may be consolidating the 2 and 2.5 ton in a single model number. That's something that we're looking at right now as well, so we don't have to carry 2 of everything. Next we got back to the controls. We're switching from Mitsubishi City Multi, I said names out loud, to the GREE MultiPro. Is there anything specific for installing the controls? No, there's not. It's absolutely just 2-wire controls. Those 2-wire controls, as far as local control, they wire directly to the indoor units that you're wanting to control. We have an H1, H2, kind of like what we were talking about with the Flex. That H1, H2 wires just to the indoor unit that you're controlling. So even in the 3-phase options, we're not having to wire that back to the outdoor units or back to the mode boxes or anything like that. It's strictly to the indoor units that you're controlling. Not a whole lot of steps on doing that. You power it on. And, after your commissioning process that you have with the MultiPro or with the GMV6, after that little commission process that you do, everything's already taken care of. You hit on, you switch your modes, you do what have you. There's not a whole lot to the installation of that. Now for the central controls, the centralized controllers like our touchscreen central controller or our building automation. Building automation options. There's a little bit more to that, but the addressing is done automatically, so you're not having to set addresses via the controllers. The one exception is going to be there are addresses that if you have multiple outdoor units, there is a dip switch that you set on the outdoor unit to indicate the address on the outdoor unit. And as far as centralized controlling is concerned, if you've got multiple systems, I know this is a lot to cover, like just telling you about it, but if you're trying to prepare, what I will tell you as far as what I know, is from a control standpoint, is you're not setting rotary switches to address every indoor unit. It's auto addressed, takes care of itself. It's honestly, it's remarkably simple, and the commissioning process is either push button from the wired controller or from our service tool or our debugger or our commissioning software tool, whatever we're calling it right now.
Well, right, James, and this is a good time to go ahead and mention, if that was a lot of information for the people, working on MultiPro, even Flex, they call into our technical support line at 888-850-7928, and with that, Avenue will be able to answer whatever questions they have as far as, addressing or hooking up potential controllers or even, controller functions. So.
Right. All right. I got another question. Will there be a compact cassette for the R32 MultiPro? Absolutely. It is in stock right now. In stock, ready to sell. Low prices, always. All that, But the compact cassette is in there. For those of us who are more familiar with the nomenclature, not much has changed except for an NH. I didn't pick the letters, but the NH is like right there in the middle of the nomenclature. So, it doesn't
Capital N, lowercase h.
For them, it's all uppercase. We'll just put that. There's no reason to confuse it that much more. We already have slashes and dashes and parentheses and all that in there. But yeah, NH. So what was a TETU is now a TENHTU. All right. So if you want to take a look at that, those are the compact cassettes that are ready to go. And then Mr. Rodriguez asks, do you have a time frame for pricing to come out on the 2-ton MultiPro outdoor units? You will be among the first to know, Mr. Rodriguez. You absolutely will be. I do not have pricing on it yet. It will be priced competitively. You like that answer, Justin? Like that?
I like it.
All right. It'll be priced competitively. How about that? Can't tell you how much yet. And that is all. That's all the questions that we've got. Feel free to hop on over to YouTube and ask all the combative questions you want. I'm just
We'll be happy to go over them next time.
Yeah, we'll be happy to go over with them next time. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if anybody else goes over YouTube comments like we do. We're a little a little choosy on that. I mean, there's been a handful, talking about how attractive we are and stuff like that. So we typically try to remove those. No, if it, that's the thing. We can't think of everything, and your questions absolutely add value to these episodes. They absolutely do. They often become clips later on that are used across social media, whether it's Reels or TikToks or, we're on Red Note too, if you're still using that after the TikTok ban. But anyway, let's see. What else do we have? All right. Hey, JD, sounds like you got some training that you're going to be doing next week.
Yep, we're going to be going over the new R32 Flex Ultra unit in more detail and what the dip switches do, and kind of dive into that a little deeper.
And that's going to be a live broadcast, right?
Yep.
Yep. Down in Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Cool.
Right. Just one more opportunity to ask your questions and stuff like that, and watch us squirm when you ask them. Like, oh man, I don't want to get into this right now. And then that's September the 12th, right? And the day before September 11th, we are covering MultiPro R32, where you will see live equipment and discussions of that. I gotta say, we've set eyes on that. I've seen the equipment myself. Absolutely phenomenally well built. Everything we could ever ask for. It's
more.
It's a big good problem. And more, yeah. It absolutely does have more features and benefits than we ever asked for. Didn't even know we wanted them until we got them, right? Yeah, absolutely. So you'll see more information on coming up on those next episodes. But yes, next week, be sure to go to our the training portion of our website, and you can go ahead and register for next week's Tech 90s. You can sign up right now at GREEComfort.com, and you get email reminders of when that episode is going to air. And sometimes that's what lets me know we got a show.
Very true.
Or just reminds me that it does, you know. But yep, sign up. You click the register button and you'll fill out a form and sign up, put your email address in there, and you'll be the first to know a lot of things if you watch Talking Comfort Live and Tech 90s.
Hey.
I'm gonna go and check one more time. Go ahead.
Hey, just a correction on the dates. So 9/10 is the Flex R32 setup, and 9/11 is the MultiPro R32.
Gotcha. Okay. Didn't want somebody trying to watch something that wasn't, you know, a day late,
Yes.
right?
That's right.
And if
I
you
got
go
it.
register, it'll give you those dates just in case.
That's true.
Just in case the date I gave sticks in your head, you can.
Right.
And, all right. Well, no more questions. I think that does it for today. I think it was a great show. Unless there's other comments from you guys, we'll go ahead and start closing it out here. All right. So our next episode of Talking Comfort Live is coming up October 1st. That's the first Wednesday of next month. So October 1st, getting ready for spooky season. Maybe we'll do some Halloween stuff. Okay. We already went through our upcoming trainings. It's 9/10 for the Flex R32 setup, controls, installation, and troubleshooting. And then 9/11 at 11 a.m. Eastern is MultiPro R32 updates, alarms, and components. Don't forget, the Contractor Pro service app is available from your smartphone at GREEPros.com. Let us know what gets you heated. You know, we didn't have a stay heated or cool or chill out episode because, I mean, everything's been sunshine and rainbows over here for the last handful of months. We've run out, so let us know what gets you heated, or maybe what we need to chill out about a little bit, you know? Give us some advice for a change. How about that? You know? But let us know, and or let us know what you'd like to cover. If you'd like to see things that come up on the episodes, just like the YouTube comment that said that maybe we should do a video on a interior installation of wall mount units, let us know what you'd like to see. I mean, you are what makes this show good. All right. And last but not least, remember, at GREE,
We're by your
By
side.
your
By your side.
Please like or subscribe to our channel at GREE Comfort on YouTube and head over to GREEComfort.com/training for more tips and tricks and all the information you need to help you out in the field. And that was a good show.